office, and it takes only 5 minutes or 6 minutes. Nothing serious. But then it is so rejuvenating. Uh, I'm I encourage all of you, if you have not downloaded that application, because now it's available on. Earlier it was only available on Android platform, but not now it is available on iOS platform also. And I was, while uh, logging into this event, I also saw the statistics of this Vibrek application. It's very impressive. There's a huge download. And there's a very good feedback also. So we all should collectively, try to encourage the people around us, like body like CII can advise, can suggest or request the member companies and member bodies, industrial uh, uh, entities, to implement this into their offices and into their workplaces, into their factories. It is very much helpful not only to rejuvenate and de-stress, but also to increase the productivity. Because when we are engaged into some monotonous activity, the problem comes into the productivity, because it is sometimes things are so boring. If somebody has to sit in front of computer for 10, 12 hours a day, and it is every day of the day, 7 days a week and 365 days a year, then it becomes so boring. So these activities is not only de-stressing and rejuvenating, but also entertaining. It gives a little scope to slow down, to have some other perspective. And then there are a lot of studies activities that it actually helps into improvement of quality of life and health perspective. So I'm very happy that CIA has taken up this task, and then uh, arranging this wonderful and and invited a lot of stakeholders. I also went through the entire schedule, and I'm impressed that you have invited a lot of experts, including the director of NIMHANS and the uh, chairman of the Board of Ethics and Registration, Dr. Gangadharji. He has also now joined. Uh, Dr. Gangadharji is an eminent researcher. He is the former director of NIMHANS, and now he is onboarded at National Medical Commission. And such kind of personalities, Director MDNIY, Director CCRYN, Director National Network of Naturopathy, lot of experts. I can see Dr. Alkaji. Lot of people, experts are invited, and then there is a very good dissemination is happening. So my compliments to the team CII, particularly Rajivji, who is chairing this CII Ayush chair. I am also taking this opportunity and to inform the August audience that Ministry of Ayush is in the process of a very big event of Global Ayush Investment Summit and Innovation Summit in near future. So I invite all of you in advance to participate into this event. It will be arranged in Gujarat, and in this coming week, all the programs and dates will be finalized, where there is a possibility that Honorable Prime Minister will come to inaugurate this event. So we all know that recently there is a big surge into Ayush sector, particularly post-COVID. There is a huge interest and huge acceptance of Ayush. We did an impact assessment study, and on the basis of 1.35 crore data sets, like respondents is 1% of our entire population, we found that 89% of the people of our country have used some of the Ayush thing for COVID prophylaxis or COVID treatment. So it is huge, whether these things come into media or not. But people are using it, people have a lot of trust on it. And now that there is a lot of science behind it, we were able to generate a lot of evidences of all these experiential evidences and classical references. We were able to generate evidences. We were able to also repurpose couple of medicines for the treatment of COVID-19. All of this has paid. Like I want to cite a wonderful example that Rajiv ji will recollect that in 2016-17, CII came out with the study of IU sector size. It was based on the data sets of 2014. And that report of CII mentioned that manufacturing of IU sector is roughly 3 billion, sorry, $3 billion. So recently we got another study from RIS in 2021, and this study has come out with an impressive statistics. They said that the sector size of IUC is now $18.1 billion. So from 2014 to 21, it went from $3 billion to $18 billion, which is unprecedented. We all should capitalize this opportunity. So not only sustainable health, not only positive health, not only spiritual health and happiness, but we all should collectively put an effort how to capitalize this opportunity in the terms of business for the prosperity of our people of our country. How to do that? That is also another aspect that should be thought of. I'm sure that we, uh, the bodies like CIA will help us to further take this opportunity and further to look at the possibilities and explore how we can take it forward. But what I'm trying to convey is that when I have joined office in 2017, we had detailed meeting with CII, and we have uh, actually fixed up a goal that by 2020, 2022, in 5 years down the line from 2017, we'll achieve $10 billion from $3 billion. सो 3 बिलियन का 10 बिलियन लेके जाएंगे, 3 गुने से ज्यादा जाएंगे, ऐसा हमने 5 साल में करने का तय किया था. बट राजीव जी एंड ऑल ऑफ माय colleagues and friends here, I am very happy to share this that हम 10 बिलियन तो कहाँ पीछे छूट गया, अभी तो हम 18 बिलियन आ गए. And the projection said that in 2022 it will cross $20 billion. So $20 billion 10 की जगह 20 बिलियन पर हम यदि पहुंच गए तो we have to push hard, and then we have to compete with the big marketers, big uh, players of this sector like traditional Chinese medicine, and prove that yes, we are worth. So that is the challenge, and I think it is possible, because there is a huge uh, energy, there is a huge undercurrent, and there is a great support from our Honorable Prime Minister and the entire government of India. So I'm sure it will happen. Uh, Again, at the end, I want to first of all thank to the team CII and uh, the participants, experts, institutions for making this event really success. And also, I appeal to all of you uh, that we all should start implementing Vibreak in our offices. Thank you so much. Namaskaram.
Thank you, Secretary,
Thank you very
sir.
much. Yeah, right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, please, Mr. Vasudevan, please, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Vaidya Kotecha-ji, I think you very clearly, unambiguously represent that particular standard which we hope to achieve through yoga and Ayurveda, right? I think by just seeing you speak, compared to most people who in your position who are, besetted by so many pressures of work and a very very tough schedule, and how you manage to retain, without putting words to adjectives there, but it's quite evident to everybody that yoga is an integral part of your life, and that helps you to keep above the day-to-day stresses, and that is such a positive inspiration in itself, right? Now, one point that you said, Vaidya Kutecha, was on the study in AIMS in the Center for Integrated Medicine, how it showed that what a wonderful study. The fact that you have tamas and rajas in one side going up and sattva in that comparable outcomes on the physical side, but sattva guna going up on the other side. And as Dr. Ishwar talked about the impact on Anandamaya Kosha, not so much on the lower Kosha, Annamaya, etc. So the larger point, I think, is could be a wonderful opportunity to take this at an organization level. Why don't we work together? CIA and the Ministry of Ayush could work together both on yoga and Ayurveda to take some organizations, implement these things at an organization level, or at least one division versus another division in an organization, and really do a comparative study and show how the well-being improves. In today's world, as you know, depression and anxiety are the biggest contributors to disability adjusted life years globally. And with the COVID pandemic, I think it will become first by, with a huge gap to the second, which is low back. So if we are able to really focus on productivity, reduction, overall well-being, happiness, and society level happiness, we have a great role to play. Dr. Uh, Ishwar spoke about yoga as a way of life. In fact, Ayurveda is normally said way of life, but yoga and Ayurveda, Indian medicine, way of life is the way to go. It's 10:47. The next session. It's a wonderful start to this particular event in the launch of the Y Break. I hope the Y Break, as we know, goes beyond the Yama Niyama. It instills not just this Y Break, but it brings in this ethos into every Indian that yoga is Ashtanga, and not in that particular order, but going with Yama Niyama Asana, and then pranayama, and then the higher four, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Really taking this totally into every workplace, every home. I think we show Ayurveda as yoga as an integral human development science, and CI will be with the Ministry of Ayush and all yoga stakeholders in this journey. Thank you very much, Vaidya Kotecha ji, all other esteemed speakers here, and I do back to CI. Thank you. Akanshita, are you there? Okay, while Akanshita comes back, Vaidya Kotecha ji, I hope we can continue this conversation on what can be done on taking yoga and Ayurveda into the workplace a little bit more.
Rajiv ji, it is true that we need to look at this possibility of a joint study. It is not complicated. We know
Yes.
that such types of studies do not require a lot of money. So I encourage and I will appreciate this idea. I appreciate this idea, and I request Dr. Raghavendra Rao, the director of CCRYN, and Dr. Basu Reddy, the director of Moraji Desai National Institute, to look at this possibility and make sure that we follow this up, and then we can definitely initiate a big study because it needs a kind of a documentation. So, and then on some small sample we can possibly evaluate some biological parameters, or uh, such kind of thing. But then first we need to create a protocol, and then these people are experts. So please talk to Rajiv ji, and then maybe in a week time, if you can come up with such proposals, CCRY can initiate this collaborative study. It is wonderful. It is like we have now a lot of good expertise. COVID has taught us a lot, and we did a big work. And then this is also a feather in the cap, if it is possible, if it happens. So I will request this leadership of our ministry in yoga to look at that. Rajiv ji, we will follow it up.
Thank you very much. Just one comment here, Rajesh ji, that should be on the sort of study. This is a longitudinal 10-year study, so that across 10 years we are able to see the impact of Ayurveda and yoga. I just want to say that because the West does a lot of these longitudinal studies, which is very powerful. So only if we can now over 10 years, 15 years, we can see the impact on society.
True. Rajiv ji, there is no disagreement. We'll look at those possibilities. These types of studies only becomes possible when we capture the documentation digitally over a long period of time. So we'll definitely look at this possibility. It is absolutely a very good
Sure.
thing to do, and we'll look at that for sure. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vasudevan. Thank you, Secretary Sir. Thank you to all our panelists who have joined us for the inaugural. We will straight away move to the first session for the day today. This is on why break, the corporate vantage point. And for this session, it will be moderated by Mr. Subodh Tiwari, and the chairman, sorry, apologies, the session chair is Mr. Subodh Tiwari, and it will be moderated by Dr. N. Ganesh Rao, Working Director, Standing Academic and Accreditation Committee, Indian Yoga Association. Our panelists for this session include Padma Shri Dr. B.N. Gangadhar, President, Medical Assessment and Rating Board, National Medical Commission, New Delhi; Dr. Raghivendra Rao, Director, Central Council for Research in Yoga and Naturopathy from the Ministry of Ayush; and Dr. Ulka Natu Gadam, Vice President, Ghatali Mitra Mandal Yoga Division and Director, Nest Maternity Hospital. I will hand over the session to Mr. Subodh Tiwari and Dr. N. Ganesh Rao. Over to both of you gentlemen, please.
Good morning, everyone. We have eminent panelists to throw light on the rationale of the why break. And we have Dr. Gangadhar with us, who is an expert of mental health. He was director at NIMHANS and has been in the field of yoga for many decades. We have Dr. Raghvendra Rao and
Mr.
Dr.
Tiwari.
Ulka with us, and they will discuss the various dimensions of the relevance of why break, because as human beings, rationality always appeals to us. And when things are understood better, there are greater chances for its implementation. So with this comment, I would now request our moderator, Dr. Ganesh Raoji, to carry it forward. Dr. Rao, you need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Subodhji. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. In the first place, namaste to all the viewers who are viewing this program from various parts of the country and abroad. Namaste to the distinguished panel members. It's a privilege for me to share the dais with such an eminent group of people here. The panel will discuss the topic, why break the corporate vantage? This is just directly going into the heart of the theme of implementation and inculcation of why break into the corporate environment. 2 points which come to mind immediately is since 2015, when 21st June was adopted by almost a unanimous decision by the members of United Nations General Assembly as the International Day of Yoga, the popularity of yoga has been zooming in geometric progression all over the world, irrespective of age, gender, caste, creed, race, region, religion, profession. People have wholeheartedly embraced the practices of yoga. The heartening feature is this popularity shows no sign of going down. It is still on the rise. And this is possible only because of the established and experienced benefits at all levels of the personality to the human being. Secondly, in the last 2 years, when the whole world was distressed by sufferings and deaths caused by the pandemic, the prominence of yoga came into relief, became conspicuous because of the promises that were there in yoga at all levels: preservation of health, prevention from affliction by the coronavirus, from the therapeutic angle, from rehabilitation angle, as well as from the healing point of view, to emotionally empower the persons afflicted in standing the stress and strain of the corona pandemic. We are very sure that yoga is there to stay. It is not a flash in the pan. The popularity of yoga continues to stay. In this background, why should not the corporate sector take advantage of the promise potential held by yoga practices? The Y break, yoga break, prepared by MDNY in addition, in consultation and cooperation with so many stakeholders, provides a chance for the corporate environment, the management, employees at all levels, to take the benefit of yoga practices. We have a saying, if Muhammad does not come to the mountain moves to the Muhammad. If the corporate executives do not find time to go to the yoga mat in the yoga hall, then yoga can come into the corporate sector in their workplace and enable them to avail of the benefits of yoga practices. That is precisely what Y-Break is meant for. Also, having spent more than 2 decades in the corporate environment, one cannot overemphasize the derogative effects of the hectic lifestyle, the stresses and strain of the environment, the sedentary lifestyle, hours and hours in front of what I term as the intelligent box, instead of the idiot box, the intelligent box that is a computer, with attending problems of the spinal column, be it the sciatica or the lumbar region or the cervical problems, and the stress, the burning out phenomenon which we just spoke about, leading to so many psychosomatic ailments, diabetes, hypertension, skin ailments. In this background, it is high time the corporate sector takes advantage of the benefits of yoga practices. Normally, when a person is stressed out in such an environment, one takes a coffee break or one takes a smoke break or finds ways and means of diversions from the stress. And as all of us know, these diversions are only temporary, symptomatic, not going to the root of the problem. Yoga basically, in the long term, tackles the cause, the root of the problems. And as emphasized when we initiated the Y break on 1st of September 2021, that the Y break, yoga break of 5 minutes, is meant for or aimed at de-stressing, refreshing, and energizing. Not only this, by doing this, the Y break will cater to the physical and mental health from the preservation and therapy point of view. And at the end of the day, will address the most important issue of the corporate sector, that is the bottom line. The productivity and efficiency of the employees increasing, automatically there is a rise in the bottom line. So there is no reason why the Y break should not be implemented en masse over the entire corporate sector. With this background, I will now invite the panel members to present their insights into the advantage that the Y break can provide to the corporate sector. I have with me three eminent personalities in this field: Dr. Gaganandraji, Gangadharanji Padmashri, ex-president of NIMHANS, president of the National Medical Commission, a psychiatrist and expert on mental health. I have with me Dr. Raghavendra Rao, mention already made of him, director of CCRYN, Central Council for Research in Yoga and Naturopathy. He holds a PhD in Yoga and Life Sciences from S. Vyasa University. And I have Dr. Ulkarna Tugadam from my own Mumbai, Vice President of Gantali Mitra Mandal, a medical doctor, surgeon, gynecologist, Director Hospital. And personally, I know she has tremendous rich experience in imparting yoga as also in yoga therapy. We are looking at a mouth-watering session as regards what Y break and the practices involved in the Y break can provide as advantage to the corporate sector. I now invite, first of all, Dr. B.N. Gangadharanji to speak about, since he is a specialist on the mental health side, I would like to invite him to share his ideas, insights into the benefits that the practices of Y break in that short period can cater to mental health of the employees and the management people in the corporate sector. Over to you, Dr. Gangadharanji. I request the panel members, if they can restrict themselves to about 10 to 12 minutes, it'll be nice. Thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Ganesh Ravji. I believe this is going to be a game changer if properly implemented. A break, the Y break. You will all recall when we were all school children, we used to have a recess. And that recess, if it was not given and the classes continued one after the other, it used to be very stressful, and you would be mischievous, you wouldn't pay attention, you would not be productive, and so on and so forth. So at every 1 hour, of course, we were children, we would get a recess, and that is something that we would be waiting for. Even today in the office, all of us take a recess, like Dr. Ganesh Rao said, a smoke, a coffee, etc., etc. So some break is required. Why not make that break scientific, so that rejuvenates our body and mind? And that's the essence of what we are talking today. I'm happy that under the aegis of CII, we are holding this meeting. And it is very important that we take this forward, make it implementable, and reap the results. I have to, being in the field of mental health and neuroscience, I have to give some data for all of you to justify why this is important. I will be very brief. I will not go into details. I will not become very technical though. Firstly, this Y break program that we implemented, we found in the hospital and a few other places where we implemented, the reports which we got were very positive. Now leave that apart, that it has been positive, whether that was a clinical trial, double-blind, randomized, etc., etc. I'm not going into those discussions. I know one of the speakers spoke about a good long-term study that we have to do it, giving breaks and not giving breaks, and giving breaks with yoga or giving breaks with nothing. We know that while working in a office setup today, being a competitive world, we are under great pressure, stress to operate, complete, and produce results. We exert, not necessarily physically, but mentally. And this produces a plethora of biological changes, which, if it continues, it harms the body. Those changes are inevitable. You can't help it whenever you are under this pressure of work. These changes ought to happen in our body. It is natural. In fact, the body is prepared to act for those pressures that we are exposed to. But if pressure is not relieved and it continues and continues and continues, and these operations wear and tear my apparatus, that is the body. And it is very well known that under stress, host of reactions happen. Cortisol increases, glucose goes up, the brain cells die, and our longevity drops, our blood pressure increases, and we have heard all these things under stress. We also have heard that yoga reverses many of these things. We have had a good number of papers published. But why not accept yoga or a yoga-like implementation in any variant as possible as a intervention during this recess that we will recommend. So I have to tell 2-3 important things that we found in research with our people there at Nimmans a couple of years ago, that doing even brief yoga produces what we call as inhibitory neurotransmitter GABA in the brain, which actually calms my brain. It is required. Unfortunately, during the stress, that drops. And by way of it increasing, my cortisol levels drop and my brain repair mechanisms get better. The brain derived neurotropic factor actually goes up in my blood. And of course, I have also seen that in people who have done yoga for a long time, under supervision, some of the gray matter is actually retained, not allowed to decay, not allowed to lose its gray matter size. So it is known that work in corporate or in public sectors or where we are under pressure, we're going to be putting a lot of stress and we're going to continuously remain stressed. We need a recess, and that recess, if it can be added with an intervention which is scientifically known to actually undo the effects of the stress, even for a short time, it is possible and we should accept it. And today we have a tele method of teaching these small procedures, tele yoga, which we have used it, and I'm sure many others also have used it. We should be able to make this available. And while sitting in the chair, while sitting in their office, people should be able to take a small recess and perhaps avoid other things which will actually make the stress worse. The coffee, the smoke, which actually makes your stress even worse. Although the process of taking coffee, walking out, as well as speaking to your friend, etc., they are distressing. The coffee itself is actually stressful. Instead of that, can you think of Ayurvedic, some kashaya, which can be replaced as a so-called recess break, which will actually complement these two together even better. So I thought I will add these two introductions for the present and let others speak. and we can go on to have a discussion later. Thank you, Ganesh Ravji.
Thank you, Dr. Gangadharanji, for these very, very important points of yoga practices calming the mind, the gray matter not allowed to decay, thereby halting the aging process or retarding the aging process, remaining young all throughout. May I now request Dr. Raghavendra Ravji to talk upon the effect of yoga practices in the Y-brick on the general health of the individual. I will request Dr. Alkanatu to specifically speak about the effect of yoga practice on the physical health. Dr. Gangadharanji spoke about mental health. So I request Dr. Raghavendra Ravji to speak on the general health effects of yoga practices in the yoga break. I'm emphasizing in the yoga break. Generally, we know yoga practice helps mentally as well as physically, but in that 5 minutes, what does it provide? Because that